Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 30th August, now it's 15 past 12, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment, but before I start, let me once again highlight that this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram and Patreon exists only thanks to members of our community and their support, and I will be immensely grateful if you will also consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page, in which I do upload extra content on regular basis. That's been said, let's talk about news now. Today's update is a late one. Unfortunately, I get cold and I find it difficult to record entire video in one take without cough. But I'll try now. And well, first of all, of course, main news for this moment, which is combined drone strike, aerial and maritime drone strike of Kiev regime on Russian regions. And when it comes to aerial drones, Ukrainian side did launch their aerial vehicles in direction of 5 Russian regions, and according to latest news, for example from TASS News Agency, almost all drones were destroyed, but several drones did manage to reach Pskov region and strike one of the airfields where Russian Il-76 transport planes were located. This is, by the way, Il-76 plane. That's how it looks. It's a Soviet era plane that been built in Russia until now, if I'm not mistaken. So according to latest news, several Il-76 were destroyed, and simultaneously, as I mentioned, Ukrainian side launched maritime drones in direction of Sevastopol, and according to governor of Sevastopol, Mikhail Razvazhayev, these drones were destroyed, and no reports about any damage to Russian naval ships or port infrastructure of Sevastopol. At least for this moment, there is no such reports. When it comes to this Pskov strike, just look at the map. This is Pskov, by the way, and Ukraine is here. So very big distance to launch drones from Ukraine in direction of Pskov. I mean, it's almost even theoretically impossible to navigate drones in such a way that they will manage to avoid Russian air defense systems, and that's why I guess rumors are now circulating in internet that maybe one or even several Baltic states, Estonia or maybe Latvia, did help Zelensky and his associates to conduct such a drone strike in direction of Pskov. This is just rumors and speculations. By the way, I find it hard to believe that leadership of any Baltic state is so crazy that they will allow Ukrainian side to launch drones from their territory or use their airspace. For example, if drones were for say launch from Baltic Sea. But as I mentioned, speculations are circulating in Russian segment of internet, and if somehow it will turn out that these speculations are true and one or several Baltic states did provide assistance to Zelensky and his criminal associates to conduct this strike, then, well, this is casus belli, by the way. Moscow may take this as a casus belli, which is basically act of war. And Moscow may retaliate, despite the fact that these nations, these Baltic states, are NATO members. because no country can tolerate such a act of war. But anyway, let's talk about some other news. When it comes to this drone strike itself, of course, this is an attempt on part of Zelensky and his Western masters to somehow divert attention from miserably failed so-called counteroffensive of Ukrainian armed forces in direction of Azov Sea to cut this land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia. And well, in regard to diverting attention, well, one may say that yes, Kiev did probably manage to succeed in this, at least for a day or two, because next several days, I guess, not just Ukrainian media and Ukrainian so-called elites, but also Western so-called elites and their propaganda outlets will probably devote significant time to this topic, to these drone strikes, to somehow divert attention of public from failed counteroffensive. But anyway, from military standpoint, this partially successful drone strike don't really give Zelensky any significant achievement from military standpoint. Yes, several transport planes were damaged. According to some reports, 2 Il-76 were damaged and destroyed. According to other reports, 4 Il-76 were damaged and destroyed. In any case, this is a significant loss, of course, but it cannot influence overall situation on the battlefield. We all know this. So this is just an attempt to divert attention from failed counteroffensive. And when it comes to counteroffensive itself, TASS news agency is reporting that governor of Zaporozhye region, Evgeny Balitski, did make a statement about claims of Kiev that Ukrainian forces reach and even breach first line of defense of Russian army in Zaporozhye region. And Balitski did said that Ukrainian forces are unable even to establish control over the Robotyne settlement. And the first line of defense is on the southern side of Robotyne. So even on theoretical level, Ukrainian forces, Ukrainian side cannot claim that they did breach a first line of defense. So that's a statement from Balitski. And now let me share with you some short summary of the situation on the Frontline. Let me begin from Zaporozhye region exactly. So during the previous 24 to 48 hours, we did see, and I did mention it, that there's some significant decrease in activity on part of Ukrainian forces. Let me use this map. And if we take a look on Robotyne settlement, for example, which is on the southern side of Orekhov city, just look at this, man. So these white dots are approximate line of contact, and if you take a look, southern western part of Robotyne is still under Russian control, or at least disputed. So Ukrainian forces claims from Kiev that they did establish full control over the Robotyne is just false. It's not true. But what is very important in my understanding is that Ukrainian forces are continuing their push step by step in the south direction, in between Robotyne and Verbovo. And Ukrainian forces more increasingly finding themselves in a kind of fire pocket. And if you take a look on the map, well, we discussed it in previous videos. It's becoming clear that Ukrainian forces are now risking to end up in a cold room if Russian side will conduct its offensive operation to shut down this gap between Robotyne area and let's say Novodanilovka or Malaya Takmachka. And in that case, I guess several hundred Ukrainian armored vehicles and several thousand Ukrainian military personnel will end up in a cold room and eventually probably will be forced to surrender. But yet again, who knows what kind of plans Russian Defense Ministry has. Maybe there will be no Russian local scale counteroffensive in this area. But in any case, we can see that Ukrainian forces are unable to establish control over the Robotyne, unable to move in direction of Verbovo or enter this settlement. They are trying to push in direction of Novo Prokopievka here, this small settlement, but they are on some distance from this settlement still, even though Ukrainian forces did, or Ukrainian side did report yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, that they did manage to enter Novo Prokopovka. But this is also not true. So nowadays Kiev is spreading misinformation like, I don't know, because they don't have good news from Frontline. And, you know, they are using their imagination to celebrate unreal successful offensives, you know, successful operations that Ukrainian forces don't really have. And by the way, main point, as I said, in Zaporozhye sector is that for whatever reasons, Ukrainian forces are slowing down their activity, and previous 24 and 48 hours clearly demonstrate significant decrease in this sector of the front when it comes to hostilities. Next, of course, South Donetsk direction. No significant changes, by the way. It's operational pause or deadlock. Ukrainian forces, more than a week now, are quite passive in this area, and we are seeing mainly artillery duels and some local scale recon operations between the sides. Let me also share with you information about Kherson region, where also know that many changes during the previous 12 to 24 hours. Deadlock, no one side is conducting any more or less significant offensive operations. It's artillery duels mainly, and recon operations, and of course drone strikes. Both sides actively using PvP drones to damage each other's positions as much as they can. When it comes to Donetsk direction, yet again it's mainly artillery duels and Russian local scale offensive operations, and the main task for these operations, as I said many times before, is to distract logistical lines of Ukrainian forces in Donetsk direction, because these logistical lines are used also by Ukrainian forces in Ugledar area and in Vremevsky salient area. So no significant changes on Donetsk direction. Also, same we can say about Artyomovsk. Initiative is in Russian hands, and even though some experts had some expectations or predicted that Ukrainian forces will conduct yet another wave of local scale offensive operations on the southern flank of Bakhmut, in reality we did not see Ukrainian counteroffensive in that direction, and mainly, in my understanding, because of lack of manpower and military equipment. So nowadays it's becoming too obvious, in my understanding, that Ukrainian forces truly have significant issues with manpower and military equipment. For example, by the way, in southern part of Orekhov, in Robotyne and the Verbovo areas, quite often Ukrainian forces are moving on their feet. They don't even use armored personal carriers for transportation that often nowadays, and I guess this is due to heavy losses of military equipment and lack of military equipment. And when it comes to northern sectors of the front line, also operational pause, no significant changes. And when it comes to sectors of Seversk, Liman, Kupiansk and entire Kharkov region, to me personally it's only one question: when Russian Defense Ministry will greenlight large-scale Russian offensive, because I guess everyone now is anticipating this, in anticipation of this counteroffensive, Russian large-scale counteroffensive that may take place in next several weeks, let's say. And this is it when it comes to a short summary of the situation on the front line. No significant changes really. This is very bad news for Zelensky and his associates, and that's why they are trying to somehow divert attention of public from their failed counteroffensive into some other topics. And today's night strike in direction of Russian regions with drones, prime example of this attempt to divert attention, because from military standpoint, as I said, Ukrainian forces don't really manage to achieve much. And by the way, during the night, Russian forces also conducted some drone and missile strikes in several regions, in direction of several regions of Ukraine. In Kiev region, in Kiev itself, there were some explosions in Odessa region, Sumy region, Cherkasy region, and several others. And some channels did report that this was a kind of retaliatory strike from Russian side for drone strikes in the direction of Pskov airfield, but I don't think so. I guess Russian response will be a little late, maybe after several days, and I guess this time Moscow will definitely conduct some massive strike, maybe even in the direction of decision-making centers in Kiev, who knows, or Lvov. But let's continue now, and TASS news agency is reporting that in Soledar area, several Polish mercenaries were captured by Russian forces, and this is of course not the first and I guess not the last instance when Polish mercenaries end up in Russian media and Polish mercenaries were killed or captured on the front line. And I decided to share this information with you because recently, as we all know, rumors are intensively circulating on internet that up to 10,000 citizens of Poland that were fighting on side of Zelensky and his associates were killed, wounded, or get missing in the Ukraine. So quite a big number. I don't know this number is coming from, but I did see that many military experts are articulating with this number. Many channels are reporting about it, and maybe that's the case. I just did not see any factual evidence of it. But of course, we all know that a significant number of Polish citizens are fighting on Kiev side. Let me continue now, and TASS news agency is reporting that Russian air defense systems did manage to shut down Ukraine's Neptune missile, anti-ship missile, and this happened first time since the beginning of special military operation. Well, this missile was in development, as I understand, before special military operation began, and it's quite possible that with the active support of so-called Western elites and the military-industrial complex of the West, maybe Zelensky and his associates, Kiev regime, did successfully finish development of these missiles. But yet again, Russian side did manage to shut it down. So I don't think these Neptune missiles will cause any significant threat to Russian ships. Although these missiles probably are capable, and Russian side always should be, of course, aware of it and prepared to take action whenever these missiles are launched. And let's continue. By the way, this is very interesting news. So Bloomberg did write article, and this article was wrote by Bloomberg's columnist Andreas Klut, and he did spoke about some Korean scenario as a possibility of ending this conflict in Ukraine. Well, we did hear talks about Korean scenario many times before, and in that scenario, of course, it's becoming obvious that Ukraine will be divided, like Korea was. But question is, why Moscow will ever agree on such scenario? Why? Because it's obvious that whatever will be left under name of Ukraine as a quasi-state, under full control of Western so-called elites, that quasi-state will always be threat for Russia and always will be epicenter of Russophobia, anti-Russian activity, terrorism, crime, and so on. So I just don't see any reasons whatsoever, any good reason why should Moscow agree on such a scenario. It's just not practical. Not practical, and that's why I'm saying once this conflict will end, there will be no more Ukraine as a state. I'm 90%, 99% sure of it. And I will leave just slight chance, like 1%, that maybe if Russia is not in the strong enough position, maybe Kiev and few surrounding regions will remain as a so-called state or quasi-state under the name of Ukraine. But yet again, I will give it just a slight chance, not even 1%. I don't see Ukraine as a state surviving this conflict. It's not happening. And that's why this type of ideas of Korean scenario and so on are failed ideas. They cannot be implemented. But fact itself that Bloomberg is writing about it probably does indicate that at least some groups in the so-called Western elites are now beginning to looking for solutions to somehow end this conflict and to distance themselves from this crisis that was created by Western elites themselves. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, Leopard tanks did become a failure for Germany, according to this report. And we have an article in, I guess, German newspaper, Deutsche Wirtschafts. I cannot read that, by the way, but one of the German's media outlets did write that German Leopard 2 tanks, world famous Leopard 2 tanks that were advertised as some kind of miracle weapon, did become embarrassment for Rheinmetall, company that produces these tanks, and also for Germany's military industrial complex. This is because these Leopard tanks are no way wonder weapons, and well, why am I not surprised? I guess Rheinmetall for now maybe has some contracts. Rheinmetall may increase its share value, but in long run, well, I guess Rheinmetall will significantly fail to attract customers, because well, these pictures of burning Leopard 2 tanks probably did had a significant influence on the potential buyers. After all, not for it's not a mistake, or it's not by chance that we did not see Challenger 2 tanks on the battlefield yet, because London does realize that these tanks will be destroyed, these British tanks, and pictures with captured Challengers or videos with captured Challengers and destroyed Challengers will spread worldwide, and it will be humiliation for UK's military industrial complex and UK's military, of course. And that's because they are positioning these weapons as some kind of wonder weapon, when in reality they are just tanks, man. Nothing special, really. Good tanks, yes. Leopard 2 is a good tank, by the way, but it's not a wonder weapon as it was positioned by Germany's military industrial complex, or Western so-called elites and the media. And same we can say about Challenger tanks. Anyway, let's continue. And Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, once again did made serious statements. This person definitely are one of the very few politicians in Europe that do deserves worldwide respect. And this time Orban did said that Budapest and Belgrade were very clear to Kiev that any strikes on pipelines that distributes gas to these countries, Hungary and Serbia, will be received by Budapest and Belgrade as an act of war. And according to Orban, Kiev officials probably did realize seriousness of Hungary and Serbia, and they did not destroy that gas pipeline that runs until now, by the way. And through that pipeline, not just these two countries, but also some other European states are receiving gas from Russia. And by the way, Orban also did comment about chances of Ukraine to win this conflict, and we all know what Orban did say, or what chances Orban will give to Zelensky and his associates to win this conflict. None. And next news, TASS News Agency, from TASS News Agency, and we have now exact date. Seems like when President of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, will visit Russia and met with Putin. So this meeting between two presidents will take place in Sochi, Russian city on the Black Sea, on 4th of September. And this is reported by Turkish media, Turkish TV channel Haber Turk, I guess that's the name of it. And well, there is no need in speculations now. We have a date, 4th of September. We have place, Sochi. What is unknown? What is unknown? What kind of ideas Erdogan has? What kind of new format for Green Deal that will attract Moscow? Because well, Kremlin did made a quite clear statement several times that problem is not Green Deal. Problem is that Western so-called elites are not fulfilling their obligations towards Russia, and once they will conduct all the necessary steps, then Green Deal will continue its work. As simple as that. But anyway, let's see what ideas Erdogan has. And by the way, this is also interesting. RT is reporting that, and many other media outlets, that yet another military coup did happen in Africa, in one of the African states, this time Gabon. And well, group of uniformed Gabonese soldiers have appeared on the national television to announce the solution of the state institutions and the cancellation of the country's disputed elections. By the way, there was elections in Gabon, as I understand, and the current leader did declare victory third time. And I guess militaries are not really happy with such a development, and they are taking over the country. And we did hear statements from many countries, from EU, from several EU members, about this developing situation. And well, Gabon is, let me show you Gabon, by the way. This is Gabon here, Central Africa on the western coast. It's bordering Cameroon, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Cameroon and Congo, also Equatorial Guinea. And well, let's hope situation will be resolved peacefully. But well, who knows? And a few more news. RT is reporting that Russian aviation stocks skyrocketed after information was released that Russian state-run aerospace company United Aircraft Corporation did build and conducted first test flight of SHG-100, which is a passenger plane, by the way, SHG-100, which is equipped only with domestically produced components. And well, as I mentioned yesterday, I did spoke about this topic, and it's a big deal when country is able to produce domestically produce civilian aircraft. It's a really big deal, and I'm not at all surprised that share price of this Russian corporation did rise 45%, by the way, in a single day, in several hours. And I guess this plane will become quite popular, not just in Russia, but also probably in the BRICS nations. And it's a huge market. It's a huge market, and who knows, maybe in 10, 15, 20 years, Russian avio companies will reach a level when they will be received by Boeing and Airbus as a competitor. Not now, because of course Boeing and Airbus, they are giants, and they only compete with each other at this stage. But who knows, with such successful steps, who knows, maybe in 10, 15 years time, Russian avio companies will reach a level when they will be received as a competitor by these monopolies like Boeing and Airbus. And by the way, one more news about Ruble. After several days of calm on exchange market, yesterday Ruble began losing its positions a little bit, and at some point did reach 96 rubles for $1 US. But then Ruble regained some positions, and right now exchange rate is 95.71 ruble for $1 and 103.48 rubles for €1. But anyway, we can say that at least for last week also, Ruble was quite stable, and maybe it will stay this way, although in my understanding optimal exchange rate for ruble dollar, and by the way, I'm not expert in finances, this is just my opinion, that are based on information that on analytics of information that is available from open sources. In my understanding, optimal rate for economy will be like 120 rubles for a dollar, maybe a little more, if you take in consideration amount of foreign currency that Russia is not receiving now because of these destroyed economical relationships between Russia and the Western states, and because of some other factors also. 120, 130 rubles for a dollar, and probably we will see this level maybe even before end of this year. But anyway, this is it for today's update. And when it comes to ruble and fiscal politics, by the way, let me say that not fiscal but macroeconomical stuff. Let me say that inflation is in Russia is still stable, despite turbulence that ruble did experience during the previous several weeks. inflation is still stable, and we did not see some extreme increase on prices. So that's I guess significant stuff, or important point. And this is it for now. Quite short update, so I hope you will find it interesting. And if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. And if you think this channel is interesting and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, buy me a coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.